Nobody likes a big crowd inside of the Sistine Chapel. One of the ways you can avoid this is to visit the Vatican Museums outside of their normal opening hours. I'm about to go on a tour with Walks of Italy called Alone in the Sistine Chapel. As the name of the tour implies, we are going to be the only tour group inside of the Sistine Chapel. And this is because the tour goes into the museums after they have closed for the day. Now, the museums close at 8 o'clock and last entry is at 6 o'clock. And the way that works is that people will go in at last entry and then they'll close the doors and people can stay inside until 8 p.m. All right, guys, this tour is starting, so I'll give you more information during the tour and at the end. Let's get started. This tour consists of fewer than 20 people. On today's tour, we are 16 plus the guide. And it's going to be a real tour of the museums. We're getting a fully guided tour, and then by the time we get to the Sistine Chapel, we will be the only people inside. Full disclosure, Walks of Italy invited me on this tour, but nobody tells me what to say. If you've been following me for a while, you know that I pride myself on giving you my sincere opinion on everything I share with you, from food to tours to experiences, etc. And at the end of this tour, I'm going to give you my sincere opinion about it. Also, Walks of Italy is an affiliate of mine, and what that means is that if you book one of their tours, including this one, through one of the links in the description, I'll make a small commission at no additional cost to you, and that helps to support my work and this channel. Now, because this tour will finish after St. Peter's Basilica is closed for the day, there is no way for this tour to include the Basilica. So, if you want to visit the Basilica, you can do so before this tour or on another day. At the time I'm making this video for you, there is a new booking system in place for visiting St. Peter's Basilica. By booking your visit in advance, you will hopefully have a much shorter security line. I did a video for you all about this new ticketing system and how it works, and I've linked to it in the description below. For now, I want to focus on this tour, Alone in the Sistine Chapel, on this wonderful guide, and on these beautiful museums and all the wonderful things there are to see inside. Let's go. So look what a privilege it is to be here with the Belvedere Torso and just our group. It's wonderful because you can hear the guide and you don't feel this crush of people on top of you all trying to take pictures of the torso and of the beautiful ceiling. The Belvedere Torso was known during the Renaissance as the school of Michelangelo because he and other sculptors studied it, and this is one of the statues that inspired him to paint some of the figures that you'll see in the Sistine Chapel. No tour of the Vatican Museums would be complete without visiting the Octagonal Courtyard and the Laocoön sculpture group. The Laocoön was discovered in the year 1506, and Michelangelo was on hand when it was unearthed. The Laocoön was one of the first sculptures in the Pope's collection, and it would begin what we know today as the Vatican Museums. The Laocoön and the Belvedere Torso are two of the things that Michelangelo and other Renaissance artists studied, and we're going to see a lot of evidence of these sculptures inside of the Sistine Chapel, where Michelangelo painted bodies that took a lot of inspiration from these sculptures. So we're going up into the Vatican Museums, but on the other side, there are people leaving because the museums are closing to the general public. I think one of everybody's favorite rooms, the map room, almost to ourselves. Pretty amazing. So we're here in the Raphael Rooms, and as you can see, there's nobody here. The museums have pretty much emptied out. It is now 7:45. By the time we get into the Sistine Chapel, all the other visitors will have been shooed out. They will have closed it up to the general public, and we will enter and be the only ones inside. I've asked, and it's not allowed to take any pictures or video inside of the Sistine Chapel, even if we are a very small group. But imagine being in the Sistine Chapel with just us, this group of 17 people. Well guys, the tour is over. I came here to St. Peter's Square after the tour because even if the basilica is closed, the square is open and it's so beautiful, especially right now at dusk. So here is my review of the tour that I just took with Walks of Italy called Alone in the Sistine Chapel. Well, like all of Walk's tours, I absolutely loved it. You do get to be alone in the Sistine Chapel, and that is huge. So we went in around 6:30, a little after 6:30, when the doors had closed to the general public, and most of the time we were kind of behind most of the other tourists who were still inside of the museums, but much further ahead of us. Now the tour is called Alone in the Sistine Chapel because you're not actually alone in the museums the whole time. As I said, there are other people there. So it is not as exclusive as one of the early morning tours where you actually get to go inside the museums before they open to the general public. So if you are looking for the most exclusive experience, it's going to be the Keymaster or Alone in the Vatican in the morning. That being said, the museums were pretty empty and it did feel like a very special experience. By the time we got to the Raphael Rooms, we were definitely alone. And at this point, the windows, the shutters are closed in the Raphael Rooms. And yes, by the time we got to the Sistine Chapel, everybody else had cleared out, and our group, plus our guide and the guards, were the only people inside. Like the two early morning tours, the Keymaster and the Alone in the Vatican before opening hours, on this tour, the guide is able to explain to us the art of the Sistine Chapel while in the Sistine Chapel. You guys, this is not a small thing. You know, on almost all Vatican tours that go during normal hours, the guides are forbidden from talking inside of the Sistine Chapel. Can you imagine every tour guide explaining the Sistine Chapel to their group in there with people already chattering and making noise? I mean, it would be a cacophony. So when you go with a tour during the middle of the day of the Vatican Museums, your tour guide is going to have to explain the Sistine Chapel somewhere else. There are lots of panels that show the Sistine Chapel, specifically in the Pinecone Courtyard, but in a few other places as well. And this is where the tour guides typically explain the Sistine Chapel to you. So by the time you get to the chapel, you have to kind of remember what they told you. But on this tour, being alone in the Sistine Chapel with our guide, she was able to give us the history and all of the explanations about the paintings, and it was a really, truly special experience. Like the other exclusive tours, yes, it is a little bit pricey, but if it is important to you to have an exclusive experience, to have a really special experience inside the Sistine Chapel, this is definitely a winner. I think the early morning tours, the version of this tour plus the Keymaster, are great if you are good at getting up early and if you really want the exclusive feeling of being alone in the Vatican Museums. Also, you get to start your day and you're done with the Vatican and you can do other things. But if you're not a morning person or you just want to leave this till later in the day, this is an amazing tour. You really have a more relaxed experience, and I just love ending the day like this, you know, coming out of the museums, coming over here to St. Peter's Square, getting this beautiful view, and that really sort of ties it up in a bow. Do you have any questions about this tour or any of the tours I've talked about of the Vatican Museums? Drop me a line in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you and I'll be glad to answer you. And to see my top 5 favorite Vatican tours, don't miss my video right here.